Good evening. My name's Chuck Iovan, and I'll be presiding over this evening's Planning Board meeting, June 11th, 2025. First order of business will be to inform people, for those in attendance, under the provisions of the open meeting law, attendees are being informed that this meeting is being recorded by Urban Media Arts and will be live streamed on Malden Access MATV YouTube site. I have not been notified that any other video or audio recording of this meeting will occur. The next thing we will do is we will do a roll call, and we'll start with our newest member, Maria Schroeder.
Maria Schroeder, Planning Board.
Ronnie Raj Verma, Planning Board.
Planning Board.
Diane Shuha, Planning Board.
Chuck Iovan, Planning Board.
Pat Hayes, Planning Board.
Eric Henry, Planning Board.
Risa Gray, Planning Board.
Stephanie Stone, Planning Board.
Thank you. The first item on the agenda is 27 Sheridan Street. Diane, if you could read the notice, please.
The Malden Planning Board will hold a public hearing in the Herbert L. Jackson Council Chamber, Malden City Hall, 215 Pleasant Street, Malden, Mass. At 7 p.m. on Wednesday, June 11th, 2025, on the petition of Janik Company, LLC, permit application number RES 070208-2025, seeking a special permit under Title 12.28.010.d of the Code of the City of Malden to allow residential conversion of a pre-existing non-conforming property in the Residence A zoning district, namely to demolish the existing three-family dwelling and to construct a two-family dwelling at the property known as and numbered 27 Sheridan Street, Malden, Mass., and also known by City's Assessors Parcel ID number 040177721.
Thank you, Diane. Is the petitioner present? If you'd come up and give your presentation, please.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, board members. My name is Paul Mulkey. I'm the owner and operator of Vision Design and Construction. My offices are located at 14 Western Avenue in Wakefield, Massachusetts. John, you want to introduce yourself?
And can you also give your residential address?
That's both. That's my office.
Office and residential. Okay, thank you.
My name is John Mancini. I'm the owner of the property of 27 Sheridan Street. Yeah, I live in Medford, 39 Emerald Street.
Thank you.
Okay, this, as the petition says, Mr. Mancini brought this property in fall, I think it was October sometime of last year, and we initially applied for a interior demolition permit because we knew it was a lot of settlement, probably had a lot of structural issues, but we needed to open up the walls and the ceiling framing to see that. And also, when we did that, we could see it was very evident that it was really structurally unsound, so we hired the services of a professional structural engineer to do an inspection and review of the structural conditions. And also, once we got a little further into the demolition and had everything opened up, it was a really, when we did our research for the Historical Commission meeting, we found people living there as far back as 1891. So it was a really old house, and these, for lack of a better term, these three units were basically squeezed in, and it was really a layout didn't work very good. So I suggested to John to lose a unit and make it a two-family, which would be much easier to bring up to today's building code standards. And even though he lost a unit, it just didn't work as a three-family. So that's why we decided to petition to convert it from a three-family to a two-family. And right now, as I'm sure the board knows, we did get approval from the Historic Commission, and we're in front of you to apply for this special permit to reduce it from three-family to two-family. What we like to do is, because it's so structurally unsound, we want to take it, demolish the 2 stories of the wood frame building down to the foundation and keep the existing foundation. And what we asked the structural engineer to do also, when you're doing a project like this, what we plan to do is take it down by hand, because the foundation's so old. If you get machinery in there, you're probably gonna do more damage to the foundation. So we wanna take it down by hand, but we've also, the structural engineer will be on board as the design professional during the project, because we need him to make sure that foundation is stable before we start framing it. And that's kind of in a nutshell what the plan is for this, and if the board has any specific questions, we'd be glad to elaborate on that.
Okay, thank you. I have a few questions. The foundation looks pretty shaky in some areas, so that will
Yes.
have to be repaired and built up again?
Yes, what I've asked the structural engineer to do, to give us a detail, well, he gave us 2 details already, and as I said, he'll be on board during the construction too. One is a detail, if any of the sections of the foundation fail, to re-pour it and reshore it so it's structurally sound. And then, in addition to the sections that don't fail, even the sections that are intact, they still need to be shored up. So we already have a detail in design for either to replace some sections or to shore up anything that's, just currently unstable. And and we want to also, what we're thinking of doing also, it's brick foundation, so we want to keep the exterior appearance the same as it was, even though, we already got approved for historic. I don't think we want to change the look of the foundation either.
Okay, thank you. Looking at the plans and the staff's report, I got a question, bless you. There's a 600-foot common area shown in the basement.
Yes.
What was that going to be used for?
Well, that area is, in the other, there's 2 storage areas in the basement, 1 for each unit. And the common area is just if we had any like snow blowers or lawnmowers or things like that we use for maintenance in the property. And it just kind of laid out that way, that we just left that open in case the owner wanted to put any type of equipment there, that he would use to maintain the property.
So it'd be for storage, but not necessarily specific to the tenants.
Right, because the tenants each have their own area already petitioned off for their use, so this would be just strictly for storage, no habitable rooms or anything like that down there.
Okay. I also see in each unit, there's a home office
Yes.
being presented. How do you propose to keep this from becoming a 4th bedroom?
Well, the reason we put home office in the beginning is when John was talking to his realtor, and I'm sure everyone on the board knows this, since COVID, there's been a big demand for home offices. The only thing I can say to I guess, address that or prevent that from being a bedroom, there won't be any, the building code requires hardwired smoke detectors in there. We won't have any smoke detectors inside. And I don't know if and no closets or smoke. Is there anything you can put in the lease that would prohibit that, John? That's kind of your
Well, you rent it as a 3-bedroom apartment.
Yeah, but once they move in, we gotta, maybe you could put something in the lease that would
They can't
address that. Yeah, so we wouldn't put any type of fire alarm system in there, which the building code requires, but I guess other than that, that's probably all we can do.
Okay, no, I'm just concerned that when we get these rooms, once you rent it,
Right.
the people tend to do what they want anyways.
Right, yeah. I know what you're saying.
Okay, a couple other questions, and it revolves around, it is a small lot, but you're going from a 3 to a 2, so that's beneficial. I have 2 other areas of concern. One of them is the open space. There were no plans for what you plan to do with the open space that you want to, what type of landscaping plans are you looking to do? You're not looking to hot top the backyard or anything like that. Can you describe what you plan on doing?
Well, I'll let John answer that in a minute, but for my conversations I've had with John, and I just have him confirm it, we wanted to grass that whole area and probably around the perimeters on the left side and the right side and the back just put some shrubs, some shrubs and some plantings there, just to give a little buffer zone and some privacy from the adjacent abutters. Is that right, John?
That's right, yep.
I didn't want to speak for you. But
No, that's all
I
right.
thought that's what you wanted to do.
Grass the whole
Can you speak into the microphone, sir?
Oh, sure. No, it's,
No, Mr. Mancini, if
Yeah.
he's going to talk.
I want to grass the whole backyard, make it, you know, a usable backyard for whoever lives there. And then around the rest of the house, we'll put some nice shrubs to decorate it up a little bit.
Thank you. Let's see, the other area I was concerned about a little bit is the parking. I saw on the plan you have two triple tandem spots
yes.
identified for accommodating up to 6 cars. How are you going to assign the parking? Is it going to be one lane for each unit, or how are you going to get around that so that cars aren't blocking other tenants' cars in and that type of thing?
Well, when we were looking at this layout, I asked the surveyor to just make sure the spaces fit. It's 18.65. It's a narrow frontage that we have there. And so he did confirm that they fit in there, but of course, it's not an ideal layout, but that's because of that shape of the lot. There's no other place to put it. But to go back to your question, we were thinking of 1, 2, 3 side by side, and we used to call it piggyback parking, and so that each unit would have its own separate aisle, so one unit wouldn't be blocking the other unit in.
Okay, so if there is any blocking, it'll only be within their
Only be
unit.
within the unit, exactly, yeah.
Okay. I see you've stripped everything down. What are your estimates on, if this were to be approved, how quickly you could come up to speed? You have to take the wooden structure down, repair the foundation, and then how long do you think it would be to frame it?
Well, we've got everyone lined up and ready, so as you said, as I mentioned earlier, we take it down by hand because it's just such a delicate foundation, and then we have the mason come in and shore up this foundation, and once we get that structurally sound, we'll have the structural engineer come in and evaluate it, give a report to the building department, and at that point, once the framing starts, when we get that first floor deck on above the foundation, it's probably a couple of months to frame it, and then we're hoping by, June, we're hoping by, we're hoping like around October or so to have all our finals and hopefully the occupancy permit. We're really anxious to get it done. We went over there tonight before the meeting, and it's pretty bad, the shape it's in now.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Does anyone else have any questions for the petitioner? Anyone else have any questions? Michelle, do you have any questions?
Yeah, I just had one question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Hi, one question I had was about the debris that's in the yard. There seems to be a lot of it. I know the dumpsters are there, but there's also a lot of like broken furniture and debris piled up in the side yard. That's your yard, right, where it's piled up?
Are you talking, if you look at the house on the right side?
Yeah.
Is that yours? I think that's next door. Yeah. 'Cause
Oh,
we-
that's not your debris in the yard?
No, there's a house around the corner. I noticed that too. There's a lot of stuff, and it's kind of, it's a little bit confusing because it's right against our lot, but I don't think is that? that's
Yeah,
not
it's on your side of the fence, though. That's why I was wondering. No, I agree there's debris in the yard next door, but there was like a broken chair and some furniture near the tree that looks like it's in your yard. I didn't know if it was in the neighbor next to you, the one in front of you. Is that their yard or is that your yard?
Yeah, did you have any furniture?
It's above the snow storage on the plan.
Right,
It was in
yeah.
that area.
Oh, okay, yeah, that probably did come from John's house, so we can have the workers there this week to clean that. She's talking about right there.
Yeah, I'll take care of it.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, you all set, Michelle?
Yeah.
Eric Henry.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. First question, what was the parameter that made it so that you were able to go the historical route with this property? How old is it?
Well, according to the assessor's records, it says it was 1900, but I think that's a default date that they use when something's built earlier than that. But we went over to the Registry of Deeds in Cambridge, and we traced deeds back to 1891. So it's at least goes back to 1891.
So is that the intention to get the Department of Interior involved in some type of historical site or?
Maybe I can address that, Mr.
Go ahead.
So any demolition of any structure of any age in the city requires review by the Historical Commission, the Malden Historical Commission. That's the city's demolition and alteration delay ordinance. So that's, the demolition itself triggered review, not the age of the structure. But as part of the Historical Commission's review, they require the historical information about the property be provided so they can determine whether it's significant and is preferably preserved, and we should, the petitioner should explore alternatives to demolition. So the commission reviewed it, they provided all the historical narrative and information, all the research, and the Historical Commission determined it was significant because of the community significance, not because of the architectural significance, and approved the building for demolition without delay. So it went through the proper process in terms of the channels. If they had determined that it was preferably preserved, then that's probably when they might look at, asking the petitioner about using different preservation or preserving elements or the structure itself. So it didn't get to that point.
Okay.
And you do have a copy in your package of the determination made by the commission.
Thank you, Michelle. If I could, there was a testimony about the designated rooms as being offices, and in order to keep that designation as an office as opposed to a bedroom, you had to not have a fire alarm in there?
Well, when the chairman asked what measures we could take to prevent it from being used as a bedroom, there's really a couple of things come, a couple of things come to my mind from the building code point of view. It requires a fire alarm, which we would not put in there. And it also requires we not put any closets in there. Usually that's the two things that distinguish bedrooms. You need a smoke detector, carbon monoxide detector, and you also need closets, and we're not going to be putting any of those in this room.
Okay.
Thank you.
I see the building commissioner in the audience. Is there anything else we should know, Mr. Miller? Would you mind coming up if there's anything, or if that would be as sufficient as possible? I know you can't control once the tenants get in there, but if you have any other suggestions?
Yeah, we can never control how people use a building once they occupy it, but our department does have a policy where when we issue a certificate of occupancy for any building, that certificate contains the number of bedrooms per unit and the location of the bedrooms inside the unit. So if someone did try to use this property as a 4-bedroom down the road and we got a complaint about it, the building inspector could go there, would have the occupancy, would know exactly what's a bedroom, what's not a bedroom, and could deal with it from there. So the short story is it's not a concern.
Okay, thank you. Eric, does that satisfy you? You all set? Thank you, Mr. Miller. Okay, Maria Schroeder.
Yep, I have 2 questions. The first one is on, if you're facing the front of the house and you're looking at the left side, it looks like in the survey you're only about 2 feet away from the property line. Just wanted to make sure that the windows that are proposed for that side, like in this drawing, we can't tell exactly where the building adjacent to it is, and just want to make sure it's following the requirements for allowable window openings in the building code.
Yes, we haven't got to that point in the architectural design, but to answer your
Okay.
question, yes, I know Nelson won't give us a permit if we don't, but that'll be
Yep.
on the architectural drawings.
And it looks like if you were off, you could always move the window in the office to the side that faces the backyard, and that would be a solution that
Yeah,
would
and
make
there's
it.
also, just to elaborate that a little bit, the other two front rooms, the bedrooms, we can even eliminate the window on the left side of the bedroom, because we comply, you need 8% light and ventilation, so the other two windows would cover that, and as you said, the other bedroom, we can move it around to the back side of the house and still comply with the building code size for emergency egress, and then we could eliminate altogether the windows on that side, and we'd still be in compliance.
Okay. And the second question is more of a subjective one, but would you consider adding two windows to the front facade, the facade that faces the street, so that it would have a more regular rhythm of windows?
Oh, I see, as you're looking at the elevation on the right side, is that what you're saying?
The facade that faces the street.
The faces. Yeah, we could do that. I'm showing some, in the preliminary design, I'm showing some casement windows, and the reason I put that in there, that's on the inside of both the first and second floor, it's a mechanical closet.
Oh,
But-
not in that area, the main facade
But,
that you see from the street.
okay, you mean the very front, the furthest wall to the front, is that?
Yes, in the bedroom.
What page you want to say what sheet number, so everyone could see? Is there a number in the corner?
Up in the upper right-hand corner.
It's A 1.7.
Okay,
Oh,
thank you.
okay.
A 1.7.
Yes, we could, we could definitely do that, because that's a bedroom, and there's no, it's a wide bedroom, there's no partitions on the inside, so there's nothing that would prohibit us if the board, I don't have a problem with that. Are you okay with that?
I'm good.
Yeah, so we'll add that in the final design. That'll be okay.
So you're going to add a window in the final design or move the ones that are shown?
Well, we could do it either way. We could space those a little closer to the center, or we could add a third if the board has any preference for that. Either way is fine with us.
Okay, thank you. Maria, are you all set?
Yep.
Are there any other questions for the petitioner? Any other questions? No? Is there anything else you'd like to add, sir?
No, I'd just like to thank the board for giving us the opportunity to come here tonight, and thank Michelle for all her help. She's been very helpful in guiding us through this whole process. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Actually, something just popped into my head. I meant to ask it earlier. When you're doing the construction, there's such a narrow entryway. Have you thought through how you're going to remove the wooden structure that's there now, and where you're going to stage the materials and other things like that when you're actually building?
Actually, that's a good question, because like I said, it's about 18 feet, goes back about 30. It's just a narrow strip there. So one of the benefits to doing it with hand tools also is we don't need to get any cranes or big front-end loaders to pull that thing down. And as far as the staging, for the actual construction, we get the equipment in there. We really can't, because it's so narrow on the sides of the front of the building, we can't get anything out back there, but there's enough depth that we can stage everything right in front of that front wall and still put a dumpster in front of it. So, and also, what I didn't mention before, that because of the lot, that front house in front is our main concern. The neighbors have been great so far, but we have to coordinate the dumpsters and the staging in the front there with the neighbor next door, because we just want to let them know what's going on, because it's really tight there. But we do have the depth to put the materials and stage from right against that front wall, and then put the dumpster more towards the street. So that's basically how we're going to plan on doing that.
Okay, thank you.
You will.
And if you have nothing else, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. At this time, I'd like to entertain anyone that would like to speak in favor of the petition. Anyone to speak in favor? Diane, anything to read in favor? I do not. Thank you. So, not seeing anyone that would like to speak in favor, I declare that part of the hearing closed. Is there anyone that would like to speak in opposition to the petition? Anyone to speak in opposition? Diane, anything to read in opposition? I do not. Thank you. We'll see and not hearing anyone that would like to speak in opposition, declare that part of the hearing closed. Michelle, can you take us through your staff report, please?
So this is the planning report and recommendation dated June 11, 2025. It is incorporated herein by reference into the record. I will not read it verbatim into the record. So we have heard about the proposal. What is involved with the petition. I've given you the breakdown based on what's shown on the plans for the size and location of the two new units. Square footage, number of bedrooms, the plans and information that were submitted is also detailed here. You also have in your package, which is noted here, correspondence from the structural engineer that's dated November 27, 2024 regarding existing framing review. In terms of zoning and occupancy, the property is located in the Residence A zoning district. The most recent three-family dwelling use is prohibited in this district. It predates the current ordinance. It is considered pre-existing non-conforming. The proposed two-family residential use is also prohibited in this district. It may be allowed by special permit as a residential conversion from a non-conforming use. That is how it's before you tonight with this petition. Direct abutters to the north are a single-family dwelling and two-family dwellings. To the west, a two-family dwelling. To the south, single-family dwellings and a two-family dwelling. And to the east, on the other side of Sheridan Street, a city park, O'Connell Park. Surrounding land uses are residential, mostly single and two-family dwellings, and there are several three-family dwellings. In terms of dimensional controls, the existing building grossly violates dimensional controls for lot area, frontage, both side yard setbacks, and density. It predates the current ordinance. It's considered pre-existing non-conforming. The proposal decreases the existing violations of lot area, frontage, both side yard setback violations, and density, and creates no new non-conformities. I've given you a breakdown here of existing requirements for the existing use, the three-family dwelling, and the proposed use. Also, what existing deficiencies are and what will be provided under the proposal, and new or existing deficiencies and violations. In terms of open space, the proposal does not specify the type of landscaping to be used for the open space in the rear yard. The petitioner just specified that. So it's understood that it's going to be pervious, so it would comply with the proposed open space, the current usable open space requirements for all districts. There are some amendments to this section that are pending final ordainment. I've given you those here. This application was filed before that zoning amendment proposal was first advertised in terms of the public hearing. So it is technically exempt from that. However, it appears that it's going to comply with the new regs anyway. Parking requirements, the most recent use of the property, the three-family dwelling with 6 bedrooms, requires 4.5 parking spaces. That's based on applicable requirements, which are pre-2004. The existing driveway appears to be adequate to provide that in a pre-existing non-conforming layout. The proposed two-family dwelling complies with current requirements to provide 6 spaces, 1 per bedroom. The existing property does not comply with current regulations regarding landscaping and not paving more than 50% of the front yard. The existing paved driveway comprises the entire front yard. It does predate the ordinance and is considered pre-existing non-conforming. Under the proposal, this existing driveway area will continue to be used. It will be used to provide 6 parking spaces, as we heard, in the non-conforming layout of 2 sets of triple tandem. The proposal maintains the existing violation of parking requirements. It doesn't specify the type of surfacing that's going to be used for the driveway and parking area. Again, there's another pending amendment that concerns landscaping requirements for off-street parking requirements, and specifically states, this board was part of the joint public hearing, so you may recall this. The new requirements are that yard areas are not paved or covered by buildings shall be landscaped, mulch, or otherwise treated as to prevent erosion and encourage on-site water filtration. Landscaping shall not include overly compacted materials such as, but not limited to, crushed stone or stone dust. And parking is prohibited in landscaped areas. So again, this application predates the first notice, the first publication of notice of the public hearing on those zoning amendments. However, it does appear that they are going to comply with the new regs. We spoke about this, I'll just mention it briefly. Again, for the record, the proposal was reviewed by the Malden Historical Commission pursuant to the city's demolition alteration delay ordinance, and the demolition was approved without delay per decision dated April 24th, 2025, and you have a copy of that. The finding you must make to grant a special permit is that the proposal is not more detrimental to the neighborhood. Do you have questions, or do you want me to move forward with the recommendation?
Does anyone have any questions for Michelle? No, if you could go on with the recommendation, please.
Okay, so the recommendation, which was prepared prior to the public hearing, provided the board makes the required finding, is to grant the petition for a special permit subject to the following conditions. 1, all development shall be as per plans except as modified by these conditions. 2, the maximum number of bedrooms in the 2-family dwelling is 6. 3, the front porch and rear porches decks may not be enclosed. 4, basement may be used for storage and utilities, and I'm recommending, based on what was heard tonight by the petitioner, as part of the presentation by the petitioner, that this be modified to read, and no residential living use by the 2-family is allowed. So they're stating they're not planning to use it for residential use, so I would think we should put that in. I will note for the board's reference, the reason this condition references 2-family residential use, as did the one about the number of bedrooms, is because that is all, that is what's before you in what you can regulate through the special permit. If the petitioner proposes to add an accessory dwelling unit, that is outside your jurisdiction. So it is possible additional bedrooms could be in an accessory dwelling unit if it's added, and it is possible there could be residential space in the basement for an accessory dwelling unit. I'm not saying there is or we've seen any proposal, but that's why I phrased it that way. So we're just trying to regulate the 2-family use of the property. As opposed to saying maximum number of bedrooms is 6 at the whole property, and it may not be 6, because the ADU laws will override this. So, 5, install and maintain yard areas and open space with landscaping, which may not include overly compacted materials except walkways. Paving shall be limited to driveway and parking areas shown on the plan. And then I would recommend, for your consideration, a condition about windows, stating, based on what we heard, windows on the southern side of the dwelling may be eliminated. That's, to my reading of the plan, southern side is the left side. So that's the side that's really close to the other property. So let me write that down. Windows on the southern side of dwelling may be eliminated. They don't have to, but they may if they choose to do that. Although I will note, you could require them to eliminate it if you wanted to. This would be the time to do it. And then windows on the front facade. May be relocated or additional windows. Or I guess, or windows may be added. So if you grant the special permit, these plans are gonna be approved with that, so you wanna make sure you're incorporating any changes to that. There is, you know, the building commissioner does have discretion if there are minor changes to things, but it can't, you know, it should look largely the same as what you're seeing here. These are the plans that were referenced in the notices that the neighbors heard. This is what everybody would be expecting is gonna be built at that site. A dwelling configured like this that looks, you know, like this, and so.
Okay. Thank you.
I'm sorry.
Oh, hold on.
No, I just wanted to clarify. Is, the windows, is that, number 6 and number 7, or are the windows all number 6? I just wanted to,
I was saying windows
Just
all
all
number
number
6.
six. Okay, I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah.
I just wanted to clarify.
Okay, any other questions for Michelle? Is there a motion?
I'd like to make a motion.
Diane?
I'd like to make a motion that we grant the petition with the 6 recommendations.
Okay, Diane's made a motion to grant with the 6 recommendations. Eric Henry. Hold on a second, Eric, it's not letting me do it for some reason. There we go.
I second that motion.
All right, great, thank you, Eric.
So to grant the special permit petition with the 6 recommended conditions.
Correct.
Yes. Okay, now give me a second to queue up. Okay, Michelle?
Diane Chuha,
Yes?
Chiwetel Ejiofor,
Yes.
Risa Gray,
Hold on a
Patrick
second.
Hayes.
Hold on, it's only letting me do 1 or 2 at a time. Okay,
Yes.
go ahead.
Eric Henry,
Yes.
Maria Schroeder. Stephanie Stone. Ronnie Raj Verma,
Yes.
Chuck Ioven.
Yes, the petition has been granted with conditions. Thank you. Okay, Diane, can you read the notice for 389 Main Street?
The Malden Planning Board will hold a public hearing in the Herbert L. Jackson Council Chamber, Malden City Hall, 215 Pleasant Street, Malden, Mass., at 7 p.m. on Wednesday, June 11th, 2025, on the petition of Gabriela Mello, Munez/Embrace Pathways, on behalf of Alphi LLC, permit application number C00-071581-2025, seeking a special permit under Title 12.12.030 of the Code of the City of Malden to allow medical center use of a property in the Central Business Zoning District, namely a mental health clinic at the property known as and numbered 389 Main Street, Malden, Mass., Suites 301, 302, 303, and 304, and also known by city's assessors parcel ID numbers 075-270-202-301, 075-270-202-302, 075-270-202-303, and 075-270-202-304.
Thank you, Diane. And is the petitioner present? If you can come up. And please start with your name and address for the record, and also sign the clipboard so we have the correct spellings and correct information.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. I want to thank you for taking the time tonight to try to help us with this matter. My name is Bernard Gibbons. I represent the owner of the subject property tonight, Mr. Albert Lee, at 389 Main Street in Malden. The 389 Main...
Excuse me, sir, and your residential address?
Oh, my residential address is 7 Richmond Street, Haverhill, Massachusetts.
Thank you.
01830. 389 Main Street is a 27,930 square foot building. The property we're talking about tonight is the 3rd floor of that building. For all intents and purposes, I think the building can be identified as an office building for practical purposes. It currently operates as a commercial condominium association. There are 5 other businesses currently operating in the building. There's a financial planner on the 1st floor. There are 3 different dentists in the building, as well as an orthodontist. During our preliminary investigation into any occupancy issues we might have here with this particular use for the property, we did discover that in the Central Business District, mental health counseling services would require a special permit for there to be an allowance for that type of business to run there. To try to get ahead of this a little bit, I had a meeting with Kevin Duffy, the Deputy Director of Business Development in Malden, ran the concept by him. He seemed to be very supportive. In turn, he asked me to submit all the materials that we were going to discuss here tonight with respect to the business to Councilor Ryan O'Malley from Ward 4. He asked us for a bunch of information and the application, and since that time we have not heard anything from him to the contrary of him not being in support of this application. The owner, Mr. Lee, back in 2013 got a special permit for this particular property to allow light manufacturing uses by a biotechnology manufacturing company. Mr. Lee was somewhat of a pioneer in a very specific type of science where he created certain types of cryogenic plate systems that scientists could look at samples, in their research, and he subsequently has sold his company to a large conglomerate, and he is no longer in the biotech business. He moved to California, and since that time, he's been trying to sell this commercial condominium that he previously was operating his business out of. For all intents and purposes, if you were to look at the space, it's essentially an office space that has a few benches in it and with some very sort of rudimentary assembly type analysis and equipment and some machines. It resembles nothing what we would think about today as far as a life science building or a laboratory. It has no special infrastructure, no special ventilation, nothing of that kind. It's essentially an office space. The petitioner tonight, Embrace Pathways, who has been in business in Peabody for the last 5 years and would like to relocate to Malden, is seeking a special permit to operate a licensed outpatient mental health clinic in the third floor space. We feel like this would represent a continuation of low-impact professional use consistent with the character of the building and the surrounding area. I think one special thing to know, due to the urban nature of the building and where it is located, on-site parking is very limited. According to all the information that we've gathered from the condo docs, from the other tenants, there are 13 spaces documented to be on-site here, according to the condo documents and the deeds that we have. This particular use will come with 4 on-site parking spaces, which will be strictly for staff use only. Okay, it's a gated parking lot, so you have to swipe a key fob in order to get in. It's a very odd-shaped parking lot. It kind of swings behind the Citizens Bank building. It's not the greatest on-site parking for an office building, but it's what it comes with, and it's what it's been operating with for quite some time now. Their clientele and patients will be utilizing we feel very adequate public parking and garage parking that is close by the building, as well as the MBTA stop, which is not too far away. So yeah, we feel like access to the building and their ability to be a successful business here will be just fine considering the limited parking. Yeah, so that's kind of the gist of where we're coming from the ownership perspective, and I'd like to introduce you guys to Gabriela Muniz. She's the owner and CEO of the company, and I think it'd be great if we could hear from her and what she intends to do.
Thank you.
Hi, Gabriela Melo Muniz. I live at 14175 Jomet Loop, Winter Garden, Florida 34787. So as he said, I am the CEO of Embrace Pathways. So we are a mental health clinic, and we've been in Peabody for the last 5 years. And we are here respectfully request a special permit for medical center use, which allow Embrace Pathways to continue its mission to provide high-quality, accessible mental health counseling to children, adolescent, adults in the community. Embrace Pathways is a licensed outpatient mental health clinic. We provide talk therapy only. Our clinicians do not prescribe medication. We do not provide treatment for substance use disorder. This distinction is very important to us, and we want to be completely transparent about the nature of our services. Our focus is on individual family therapy for conditions such as anxiety, depression, trauma, ADHD, and relationship challenges. We are staffed by licensed mental health counselors, social workers, and clinicians who are dedicated to helping clients build emotional resilience and stronger relationships. We work closely with schools, healthcare providers, and local organizations to ensure that our clients are supported holistically. Our clinical work is rooted in evidence-based practices, cultural humility, and deep commitment to the community wellness. The majority of our services are actually online. 60% of our services are telehealth right now. We also provide in-school services, in-home therapy services as well. We understand the importance of aligning with the city's requirements for granting this special permit. We are confident that our proposed medical center use will not be detrimental to the neighborhood. This is because Embrace Pathways operates by appointment only in a quiet, professional environment. We do not generate high foot traffic and disrupt the activity. We also believe the proposed medical center is not in conflict with any surrounding land uses. The surrounding land uses includes general offices, restaurants, a beauty salon, and a daycare, and a public parking lot, as well as private nonprofit school. As a quiet, appointment-only mental health clinic, our operations are compatible with this diverse use and will not create disturbances. Furthermore, our proposal creates no violation and nonconformities with dimensional controls or parking requirements, ensuring there will be no detrimental impact to the neighborhood in the areas. We firmly believe that these services will provide offering essential mental health support to community members, including students, parents, educators, and healthcare workers in the interest of the common good. Regarding the planning recommendation, we are fully committed to operating as per approved plans. This special permit will allow us to use the third floor only for mental health clinic. We understand that this is the case. We only plan to use it for a mental health clinic, recognize that any other medical center shall require seeking an amendment for this special permit. We also acknowledge and will strictly adhere to the parking guidelines. Park is only allowed in the market space and prohibited in the fire lanes or marked areas and right of the way from City Hall Avenue to Ferry Street. We are mindful that the neighborhood we are in, especially given the proximity to schools and early education centers, we are committed to being thoughtful, responsible neighbors. The special permit will requesting allow us to operate in accordance with the state licensing standards and local zoning guidelines. We are proud to be part of the Malden, and we are committed to being valuable access to the community. Thank you for your time and consideration. I do have some flyers with our services, if you'd like to take a look.
Okay, that'd be great, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, miss.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, since we were giving out handouts, if it would be possible, I did have Jay Landstein, who is the owner of Cantella Capital Group, one of the owners of the property on the first floor. He is the head of the condominium association. He did write a letter of support for the business here tonight. If people would like to get a copy of this.
Okay, if you want to bring it up, we can read it into the record during the. Yeah, but you can give one to her or pass out what you have, if you would.
I also wanted to add that if you notice, one of the sides of the flyer is in Portuguese because we do provide services in different languages, so we do have staff that speak different languages as well. So we feel like Malden is a very diverse community, so we are very excited to be, serving Malden closely.
Thank you very much. A couple questions. Are you only buying the third floor, or are you buying the whole building and using the third floor?
No, just the third floor. We're just buying the third floor.
Okay, thank you. And because it's remote access, you said you lived in Florida?
Yes, I'm the CEO. I do have a staff that is in here. We have,
Could you describe the number of people, the hours of operation, that type of thing, if you would?
So right now we are open from 8 to 8, with the majority of our in-person services being around from 4 to 8. We currently have, as of right now, 6 admin staff. And we do have clinicians that come. It varies from day to day. It could be 4 to 5, up to, as of right now in Peabody, we do have 8 therapy offices. And we are buying this floor because we are growing as we are, the year comes. So we want, a bigger space, but we do not have staff as of right now to fill the entire third floor.
Okay, and those people would park in one of the garages? Or?
So the plan is to, as he said, it's only for assigned spot, and for the rest, we will buy them the monthly fee for the garage.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you. Will you also be operating on weekends?
We open on Saturdays from 9 to 2.
So Monday through Saturday?
Yes.
Okay, and you said it doesn't generate a lot of foot traffic, that a lot of it's done remotely?
Yes, 60% of our services are telehealth. And as also mentioned, we do provide what's called CBHI's Child Health Behavior Initiative through the Mass Health, which is a higher level of care for in-home therapy. So we do have also staff that go to people's home.
Okay.
So it's not all our services will be in the office.
And would they be based at 389 Main Street and leave from there, or would they leave from their own homes?
No, they leave from their own home, yeah. Also, our
Okay.
staff meetings are all virtual. We do have supervision with our interns, all virtual. So after COVID, everything was much easier with providing services virtually as well.
Okay, and it doesn't sound like you're gonna be generating any type of medical waste or any
No.
more debris or waste than
No,
a general office?
No, it's just like talk therapy. Yeah.
Okay, and you gave us, I was gonna ask you to define mental health, services, but you gave us the card, so that helps provide that. So some more insight in that, because I was concerned that this might, involve like a methadone clinic or something like.
No, we don't have, that's a separate license. We don't even carry that license. Our license is only mental health. So we don't have license for substance abuse. And if someone comes to us and wants services, we say we don't specialize. We don't specialize like in eating disorders or substance use or any other those services that require like a medical provider.
Okay, now, will you, and it's just a random question, will you be, have an opportunity to partner with the facility that's going up over by Fellsmere Pond? There's a mental health facility being built up there, I believe, by Tufts. Is that something that would you ever partner with a group like that, or
No.
do you operate and stay self-contained in your own practice?
Yes, we do have contract with the insurances and then we receive referrals from schools, from people that know, but we don't have any partnership with any medical facility.
Okay. Let's see. With regard to the facilities, and I don't know how much you can control this, but there seemed to be in the staff site visit that there was a lot of parking in fire lanes. And
there's
kind of
been-
willy-nilly around the
There's been
lot.
some actual controversy, and I'm not trying to stir the pot here, but people parking there from the Citizens Bank building that might not necessarily supposed to be there. A lot of people, I think, park there and they shouldn't. There's been some complaints about that. What I need to do on behalf of my owner and them is we're really, all we can really control is her 4 spaces, and the rest I think that we can bring to the condo association and say, that might be a good condition to this special permit that says, we have to go back to the association and say, listen, we gotta make sure that the people that are parking here are supposed to be parking here and that everything's identified correctly, so.
Okay.
Something along those lines, but,
And
we're very new into this, and so, we're buying something that's a legal document essentially, and it's controlled by a deed. Our deed says we get 4 spaces, they gotta get 4 spaces, right? So that's their concern, but at the same time, if they can't use their 4 spaces the way they need to, it's a problem for them too. So
Right.
I'm willing to sort of intervene on that particular issue to make sure that everybody's comfortable.
And do you have any comments on the 2 unscreened dumpsters in the yard? And do you mind speaking to the microphone, please?
I do not have any comment to that. If dumpsters that are present on the property need to be screened. I think that's a message that I'd be willing to convey, needs to be addressed in order for my client to make this conveyance.
So that would be to the condo association.
Condo association, yeah.
Okay. That's all I had for questions at the moment. Does anyone else have any questions for the petitioner? Stephanie Stone.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I was curious about the Commercial Condo Association rules. I see there's this one letter of support. Do all of the other condo owners have to agree to a new condo owner?
One thing I will say, and I discovered this pretty quickly, this is a very well communicating condo association, so they're constantly going over everything. This particular leader, Jay Landstein, he really has the pulse of everybody that's in the building. If there was gonna be an issue with this particular tenant, we would have known that by now. That's for sure. So he basically said that this shouldn't be a problem at all for anybody. So I think I would say that it's not an issue. And if we need confirmation of that, maybe a letter from each one of the participating members of the condo association that this is not an issue, I think we could get that.
Yeah, I was just curious if there were like bylaws that said they all had to vote or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not sure exactly how they vote. I didn't read everything in great detail, but they definitely vote and they fight a lot about stuff, you know what I mean, which is kind of a good thing, so. So yeah, but I will let Jay know that the subject was brought up, and if there's gonna be a problem, then we'll let people know.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. You all set, Stephanie?
Yep.
Anyone else have any questions? Tawadej Gabrasalasi.
I do have a question. Thank you, Chairman. So do you guys only like provide service for adult or elder, or what is the age group?
So it's 5 and up.
Oh, 5 and up?
5 and up, yes.
So even if someone is like elder, 65 or something, you guys still provide the service?
We provide service from anyone that is 5 and up to any age. I'm sorry, what was your last question?
No, I mean if somebody is older, like 65 and older. Age.
Yeah, anyone
Okay.
that is 5 and older.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have another question. So do you guys have any plan also like to hire like Malden residents, you know, if you find any therapist, you know?
Oh, yes, we are hiring. Send them over.
Okay,
Yeah.
just to make sure.
Yes.
I think that's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Tawadej. Question for you. Is this the only location you're going to have?
Yeah,
So
we have,
you're in Peabody right now, and then you're going to vacate Peabody
correct.
and relocate to Malden, which is great. But I was curious, where you're based down south, do you have other facilities across the country?
In Florida, Orlando.
So you have
Yes.
one in Florida or
Yes.
several in Florida?
I have one location in Florida.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Anyone else have any other questions for the petitioner? No? Would you like, okay, go ahead.
I was curious, so you will be in Florida. Will there be like an on-site manager, or how will that work? Who will, and my question is really, because you're here and agreeing and understand some of the questions and concerns, but how will, you know, who's going to be on-site?
Yeah, I have a clinical director. She's also licensed, and I also have other 2 members in the leadership position. They are aware of this.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they're the ones on-site?
Yes,
Okay,
correct.
'cause I noticed you had a few different administrative offices, so they'll be there on a regular basis?
Yes,
Okay, but the other offices that are labeled therapy, those are only used as the clinicians come in?
correct.
Okay. Okay, thank you. My other question, so, Mr. Given, so are you staying involved, or are you, you said you're representing the owner? Are you
I'm gonna
involved
say-
with the condo association, or it sounds like you're staying involved? Are you
I'm staying
with-
involved until the consummation of all of this.
Oh, for the
I was-
sale,
yeah, I
okay.
was hired basically to find someone to buy these condominiums, which is
Okay.
a little bit of a it was a little bit complicated because it's an association, there's limited parking. It was kind of a tough challenge to fill this, particular property. It was also very old and dated, it needs a lot of remodeling. They're doing a very extensive investment in the property. It was old and in really tough shape. So I think one of the good things about this is somebody that's buying an office space becomes really vested in the community. It's a big investment, and, it just shows a real commitment to the project, so. Once all of this is resolved and they're in and they know how to vote in the condo association, there'll be no need to have me anymore, so, but yeah, that's
Okay,
that's
because
my
I
role.
was just curious when you were saying you'd bring the message back. You're saying up until the sale, so.
Yeah, up until the
Yeah,
sale, so,
okay.
we're here tonight, and there may be some conditions attached to this special permit, and it's my obligation to help her and my client resolve these things, and if
Okay.
it means going back and getting the dumpsters squared away and what have you, then that's what I'm gonna do.
Okay, and so do you happen, on that note, do you happen to know, are there any plans? It looked like some of the parking spaces were freshly numbered, and I see that they're the 101, the Cantella, numbered, right? Because I took a picture of the inside so we could see who's in which office. So, but is there any plan to restripe or renumber the lot, or do you know of?
There is a plan to create a more organized parking system at the property. There has to be, and a lot of it, from what I initially heard, was there were people that, because the Citizens Bank building doesn't have any parking at all, okay? It's built right up to the lot line, so it has no spaces, and what happens is some of the people that are involved with that building, even though it's not a bank anymore, have been parking there, and it's created some tension, but yeah, it's definitely, the parking situation is definitely looking to get more organized.
How do they park if it's gated?
We're not exactly sure, how it is, or how they get in. It's kind of, I think it's a long story, but in any case, I think that some people might have fobs that shouldn't,
Okay,
things like
no,
that, yeah.
that's fine, I was just more curious,
yeah,
because when I went by, it was gated, so.
Yeah, there's some people that have fobs that shouldn't, and it's been a long-standing thing, but I think now, because of this process that's going on, and all of a sudden, somebody's there saying, I gotta have my 4 spaces, everybody's like, okay, we gotta
Okay,
make sure.
no, that's fine, thank you. Michelle, were you all set?
Yeah.
Ronnie Verma.
Yeah, you mentioned that renovation, so what's your expected timeline in terms of demolition, and then when you're going to be operational?
Yeah, we expect 4 to 6 months in renovation because of the permitting, and so my husband, he has a construction company, so he said it's around 4 to 6 months until we get the occupancy, and our lease in Peabody is up until February of next year, so we have plenty of time.
And you mentioned your husband has a construction company that's licensed in Massachusetts?
Yes, correct.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, Ronnie, you all set?
Yes, thank you.
Tawada Gabriselassie.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. So I remember when you mentioned like first floor and second floor is occupied by someone, or it was already sold?
They're all condominiums, so the first floor is a financial services company. He
Okay.
owns his floor.
Okay.
The second floor is some dentists. They own their suites.
Okay,
The fourth floor is dentists and orthodontists. They own their spaces. So there was a third floor was empty. It used to be the biotech company that owned by Mr. Lee. And he closed down a couple of years ago,
So the first floor and second floor was owned like 6 or 4 months ago? Because I went inside like maybe 2 months ago. I didn't see anyone, maybe.
Yeah, it's, no, they're there. No, they're there, definitely. The whole building is occupied.
Okay.
Other than the third floor.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, any other questions? Would you like to add anything else to your presentation?
No, you? No, I think we're good.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, members of the board.
Okay, at this point in time, is there anyone that would like to speak in favor of the petition? Anyone to speak in favor?
You just want to mention the letter of recommendation that we sent.
Yep, we'll get to that in a second. Yep. Anyone else that would like to speak in favor? No. Diane, can you read the letter that we received tonight from the petitioner into the record, please?
Yes, this letter is dated June 10th, 2025, to whom it may concern regarding the letter of support for special permit application, Embrace Pathways to Wellness. I am writing to express my strong support for the special permit application for Embrace Pathways to Wellness at 389 Main Street, unit number 301 through 304, Malden, Mass. As a long-standing business located on the first floor at 389 Main Street and a neighbor to the proposed site, I am well acquainted with the area and the applicant. From my perspective as a neighbor, I believe Embrace Pathways to Wellness will be a valuable addition to our community. Traffic and safety. Based on the information provided, I am confident that the traffic and traffic patterns generated by Embrace Pathways to Wellness won't adversely impact any of the surrounding streets or create a traffic or safety hazard. This facility is designed to serve the community without adding undue burden to local infrastructure. Neighborhood detriment and land use. I believe Embrace Pathways to Wellness will not be detrimental to the neighborhood. In fact, it's a low-impact use that isn't in conflict with surrounding land uses. Its quiet nature and focus on healthcare make it compatible and beneficial addition to our street. Interest of the common good. Crucially, Embrace Pathways to Wellness is clearly in the interest of the common good, providing essential mental health support to community members as a vital service, particularly now. It fills an important need and contributes positively to the well-being of Malden residents. I wholeheartedly endorse the special permit request for Embrace Pathways to Wellness and urge the board to approve it. Thank you for your time and consideration. Sincerely, Jay Landstein, Managing Partner, Chief Executive Officer.
Thank you, Diane. And is there anyone else? Seeing and hearing none, declare that part of the hearing closed. Is there anyone that would like to speak in opposition to this petition? Anyone to speak in opposition? Diane, do you have anything to read in opposition?
I do not.
Thank you. Seeing no one else that would like to speak in opposition, I declare that part of the hearing closed. Michelle, can you take us through your staff report, please?
Yes, I'm reading from the planning report and recommendation dated June 11, 2025. I won't read it verbatim into the record, but it's incorporated here and by reference into the record. So we've heard about the subject property. I do want to make note here, of this, what's called City Hall Avenue. It's a private way. That's, when you look at the photos in your package, that is the area that is behind the gate. So that private way has gated vehicular access off Main Street. This property extends along City Hill, along that private way, and then also out to Ferry Street. And there's a right-of-way that runs on that portion of land that runs out to Ferry Street. And it's supposed to be used for foot traffic only per the deed records. Heard about the petitioner, what the petition is. You do have copies of the plans that were submitted. You can see how you have the existing floor plan in your package. You also have the proposed floor plan. I won't go through this. You can see the breakdown here of the different spaces, how they're going to be used. The proposal does not involve changes to the other units, other floors, or exterior of the building. The plans that were submitted with the petition are itemized here. I won't go through those, but they're here for your reference. You also have copies of everything. In terms of zoning, the property is classified as part of the Central Business Zoning District. The proposed mental health clinic is classified as part of the use known as medical center, may be allowed by special permit in the zoning district. Subject to the petition, the third floor was the subject of a special permit granted in 2013 to allow light manufacturing that we heard about from the petitioner. I did not give you copies of the two cases. One of them was amended. One of the cases is an amendment of the original case. Other units in the building, as we heard, are occupied for general offices. Those uses are allowed by right in this district. There are also dental offices which predate the current ordinance classification under medical center use and special permit requirement. Those are considered pre-existing non-conforming uses. On that note, I also do want to reference one of the photos included in your package is the electronic signage that's in the lobby, so you can see the names and locations of the different businesses that are in there, first floor, second floor, and fourth floor. That was taken from inside the lobby the other day. The direct abutter to the north is a vacant former bank, which is considered general offices and public parking lot. To the east, a private nonprofit school, the Sheridan Catholic School, and to the south, two restaurants, a beauty salon. To the west, on the other side of Main Street, a daycare, restaurant, general offices. Surrounding land uses of business, residential, and the multimodal recreational trail by to the sea, Northern Strand Community Trail. Dimensional controls, the existing building was constructed by right in 1983. It complies with dimensional controls for allowed uses of property in the Central Business Zoning District. The proposal creates no violations or nonconformities. In terms of parking requirements, the proposal requires no parking and creates no violations of parking requirements. No parking is required for the other uses of the building. Allowed non-residential uses in the Central Business Zoning District do not require parking. Parking on site we heard about. There are 13 spaces. Most of the numbers are faded. There are several spaces clearly numbered 101. As we heard, the access to the parking is gated and via City Hall Avenue. I do think a few of those spaces that are along the bank building are actually located on City Hall Avenue based on what we can see of this plan. So I understand that they're numbered and may be being used, but I do believe those that abut the bank aren't on the petitioner's property. They're actually on the City Hall Avenue. And then some of the spaces, some of the parking that I observed was in this area right away where there was striping for fire lanes and just not striped at all. So there were quite a few cars parked back there. They weren't all in marked spaces. Let me see. Okay, so that's what I noted here. Note 1, the 4 parallel spaces located along the northern side of City Hall Avenue. Those, I think at least 1 or 2 of those were numbered as well. I'm not sure, you didn't ask where these 4 spaces are numbered, the ones that they're getting the assigned spaces. I don't know if they know that or if it matters to you, but first off, parking isn't required. Second off, my only concern would be if those happen to be in that area designated City Hall Avenue, they actually don't have control, exclusive control over that. So just mentioning that to the board. No traffic impact study was required per your rules and procedures. Findings that you would need to make to grant the special permit. 1 would be that any creation or increase in violations of dimensional controls or parking requirements will not be more detrimental to the neighborhood. 2, that the traffic and traffic patterns generated by the proposed use will not adversely impact any of the surrounding streets or traffic or create a traffic safety hazard. 3, that the proposed use will not be more detrimental to the neighborhood, that the proposed use is not in conflict with surrounding land uses, and that the proposed use is in the interest of the common good. Do you want me to move forward with the recommendation? Please. So the recommendation, which is made prior to the public hearing and provided that the board makes the required findings, is that a special permit be granted subject to the following conditions. 1, all development shall be as per plans except as modified by these conditions. Minor modifications of floor plan are allowed. 2, this special permit allows use of the 3rd floor only for a mental health clinic. Any other medical center use shall require seeking an amendment of this special permit. On that note, on that condition, I do want to ask the question. The petitioner stated that their license is a mental health clinic. I'm not sure if there's any other entity that they would operate under that wouldn't be considered a clinic. So I was proposing that you add, or mental health service provider, to that condition. So special permit allows use of the third floor only for a mental health clinic or mental health service provider. In the event that it's maybe like a group practice, or it's not a clinic anymore, it's, you know, a different formation, I guess.
I'm sorry, what's that?
Turn, yeah.
Eric?
Are they different by ordinance?
They're not different by ordinance. The ordinance classifies mental health clinic and any type of clinic as a medical center use. I was thinking, this condition would restrict the medical center use. So it means an urgent care center couldn't go in there, or a doctor's office, you know, couldn't go in there, or a dialysis clinic couldn't go in there, or anything, a blood draw lab couldn't go in there. So this condition is intended to limit it to mental health service provider type of clinic. So that was what I was recommending. Again, and this is similar to a discussion we had on a previous petition, based on the, you know, variety of businesses that fall into our new catch-all category, medical center use. The idea was to identify exactly what you were issuing the special permit for. That was my recommendation, at least. If you do not include that condition, then any business that falls under medical center use, and those are all, well, they're not all, but there's a lengthy list illustrated in the definition in ordinance. So that's what's in the ordinance, not the specific. Does that answer?
Yep.
You all set, Eric?
Yep,
Okay,
thank
good.
you.
And then 3, parking is only allowed in marked spaces and is prohibited in fire lanes, unmarked areas in the right-of-way from City Hall Avenue to Ferry Street. And that's that strip of land which they do own that begins at the end of City Hall Avenue, as you can see on the plan, and then extends out to Ferry Street.
Right.
If anybody's looking at the plan, so.
Okay, thank you, Michelle. Does anyone have any questions for Michelle? Any questions? If there are no questions, is there a motion? Diane Chuha.
I'd like to make a motion that the petition be granted, subject to the conditions that Michelle outlined below, including her addition to the number 2, adding the mental health service.
Okay, so that was Diane Chuha made a motion to accept the recommendation and the conditions associated with it as amended. Eric Henry.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I can second that motion.
Eric Henry has seconded.
This is to grant the special permit
Yes,
Yeah.
with the 3 conditions as amended.
correct.
Correct.
Okay, now. Okay, okay, go ahead, you can start.
Diane Chuha,
Yes,
Tadej Gebrselassie,
Yes.
Risa Gray,
Yes.
Patrick Hayes,
Yes.
Eric Henry,
Yes.
Maria Schroeder. Stephanie Stone,
Yes.
Ronnie Raj Verma,
Yes.
Chuck Hoven.
Yes, petition's been granted with conditions. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Miller. Melissa. Okay, next item is 158 Summer Street, approval not required. Oh, and 164 Summer Street.
Yes, this is an application for determination of planning board jurisdiction, also known as approval not required subdivision plan. The proposal is to reconfigure the lot lines on these two properties, 158 and 164 Summer Street. Specifically, one of the lot lines, the one that they share. There'll be a change in the lot line location. There will be no change in either lot area, lot size. So they're conveying equally sized triangular pieces of land of 27.5 square feet. Apparently, the driveway and curb cut do not sit on the same property. And the property on the corner is being sold, so they're trying to literally straighten that out.
Correct it.
No pun intended, but couldn't resist.
Okay, does anyone have any questions for
So-
Michelle?
The recommendation is that you approve the application and authorize the endorsement of this plan.
All those in favor?
Someone has
Oh,
to make a motion.
Someone make a motion and second it? Diane Chuha,
I'll make a motion to accept it.
Pat Hayes. Second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed?
Okay, so that was to approve and endorse. Okay.
Yes. Motion carries.
And there were two of them, because I think they're
Oh, do
gonna,
we have to take two votes?
no.
Okay.
It's just, oh, no, there aren't two. I thought there were two copies. I guess they were recorded on both lots.
Okay.
No, I thought there were two copies, so you don't need two votes.
Okay.
It was one application filed, signed by both petitioners, both
Thank-
owners.
Thank you. Next item, Community Preservation Committee update. Oh, hold on, Ron.
There we go. Okay, with the CPC, we have some updates on a bunch of different playgrounds and parks that are going on. Over at the ELC playground, the construction's complete. They're gonna have a permanent sign that actually should be installed by now. Fitzgerald Park, construction has begun. Substantial completion is expected towards the middle of June, so that should be right around the corner. And then Kierstead Park, construction is complete, park's open. We had a ribbon cutting there about 6 weeks ago now. And Malden Riverworks, 1 second. Malden Riverworks, that went out to bid in April. We're still waiting for some updates there. And then Trafton Park, construction is complete. Hardscape areas are open. The grass field is still closed to the public until spring of 2025, which really basically in that category right now. Grass is fully expected to be established sometime in June. And solar lighting will be delayed due to the need to find a specialty designer for this area. And that's really it for the parks right now. At the last meeting, we also kind of had a public meeting on discussion on how we separate the funds, and we just kind of went through the ins and outs of that. Besides that, the park updates, there's nothing else going on, and that's about it for CPC for now.
Okay, thank you very much, Ron. Appreciate that. Hold on a second, Eric Henry, let me. There you go.
Sorry about that, Mr. But what's the status of the church project?
So last time it was sent to, I believe, the city solicitor to make sure that the allocations of funds were appropriate. I think there was a little bit of confusion on if we were allowed to allocate money to them. Our understanding on the CPC was that we were allowed to allocate money towards that project. There hasn't been any update since the last probably 2 months since we've talked about it, but I'll shoot out an email just to get an update, so that way we do have some kind of information, at least by the next meeting. And then I'll follow up with the members at the next meeting about that specific project.
Okay, any other questions for Ron? Thank you. Master plan steering activity. And open space recreation plan. I didn't see an update on attached.
There's no, the person in OSPCD that was giving you the written updates has left, so there's no written update. The committee has been meeting monthly. We do have something tentatively scheduled for the end of this month, but we don't have a quorum yet, so we're not sure. The update I can give is I believe we're still in the process of finalizing the RFP for the consultant to do the master planning activities. We were also looking at a draft of an application to seek citizen members. There are some vacant spots on the committee for citizens, so we were looking at that at the last meeting. That hadn't been finalized, but that you'll see public, some public promotion about seeking applicants. And open space and recreation plan, I was told by the director of OSPCD that we did submit it, the tentative preliminary draft, to the state. The state will make comments, possibly suggest revisions when it comes back. It will then be circulated. They will incorporate the state's requested revisions. It will then be circulated to the mayor and to the planning board. The planning board does have to review and approve the open space plan. I've let the OSPCD office know we would need it 2 weeks in advance so we can put it on the agenda and get it to you at least a week in advance of the meeting, where you would be expected to, discuss it and, indicate whether you approve it or have any comments. So I haven't received it yet, so as soon as I get it, I will be sending it to you, send you a link is what I'll be doing. So that's still in process.
Okay, thank you. Any questions for Michelle? No, thank you for that. Next meeting. We're gonna have a special meeting on June 25th. And we'll have one item on the agenda. And I know some of the folks can't make it, so if you could just remind Michelle, if you're not gonna be able to be here on the 25th, I believe there were a couple people. And, just make sure Michelle knows who it is, and just make sure that it's only the two.
Right now, I know two cannot make it, so everybody else.
It's still at the same time, right?
Yes, 7 o'clock, there's only one petition, it's 245 Bryant Street. We'd like to obviously move forward with a full board, not just a quorum, because, we want to make sure, we're doing a special meeting, and we want to make sure we're going to be able to move forward.
Right.
So,
Okay.
June 25th, I will be, actually just posted the agenda today, I'll be sending the agenda out tomorrow. And I think I had mentioned this before, I know I mentioned to the new members, if you ever want to pick up your package, your plans, the paper plans in advance, you can stop by anytime, we have them in the office. You can also use the link in the agenda just to look electronically, look at the same plans or filed electronically, but wanted to mention that again, if anybody wants.
Do you have anything in July?
And we do have a July 9th meeting scheduled. That's your regular meeting. There's already at least one on the agenda. We kind of had a little bit of a backup because of the joint public hearing that we did with the council in May. Also expecting potentially to be another joint public hearing over the summer at some point. So we're going to try to stick with the regular meeting dates that everybody already has on the calendar. We won't ask you to come on a special night unless we have to. I know summer schedules can be tough, so, well, as of right now, we're planning for July 9th.
Okay, anyone have any questions for Michelle or me? No, is there a motion to adjourn?
You know how much I like that.
Diane Chuha, is there a second? Teresa Gray. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
This must be a trick, it's only 8:35.
Ooh. Ah, good for you. Have a great 4th of July, too. Yep.
Happy Father's Day to